Stories have always been important to the Haudenosaunee in a variety of ways. They teach us about our history. They teach us about nature and about how things came to be. We have lots of stories that do that. They teach us lessons about the proper way to behave, how we are supposed to interact with each other and the world around us. But they're also supposed to entertain us. They are supposed to be fun. And I take that fun part of it very seriously. This is the Haudenosaunee story of creation. In this story, we talk about how the world was once covered with water. And above the world of water was a blue dome, the dome that we can still see above us right to this day. And that up above that dome, there is another world, the sky world or the spirit world. Like many young people, when I first came to Cornell, I was really discovering who I was as a person, but also as a Native person, as a Native American. I grew up in Niagara Falls, removed from my home territory. I had visited both my father's reservation, the Tonawanda Seneca Reservation, and also Onondaga, where I'm from and my mother's family is from. So I had been exposed to Native culture, but I did not live with Native people. It was not part of my daily life. So when I came here to Cornell and was part of the American Indian program, now I was surrounded by Native people all the time. And so it was new, it was exciting, it was instructive for me as a Native person. And so being able to take classes to learn more about Native American and history and culture, I was also learning about myself. And so when we speak our language, when we practice our religion, when we practice our traditional crafts or make jewelry or whatever it might be, when we sing, when we dance, all these things are expressions of identity. Of course, we continue to change. And that is part of who we are as well. We have always changed, always adapted to our environment, to other people coming here, to new ideas and new materials being introduced to us. So that evolution, that change is a big part of who we are. And to this day, when the Haudenosaunee see the sunflowers start to grow, we give our Thanksgivings because we remember that it was a gift from the sky world all the way back at the time when the world was brand new.
Every night, children disappeared from the village of Hollow Creek. Whispers filled the air, some said the forest itself claimed them, others spoke of a wicked witch who haunted the innocent. Kizoba, a brave young girl, and her little sister, Chanenai, went to fetch water from the stream one evening. The moon hung low, casting eerie shadows across the path. Suddenly, they heard a strange noise coming from the trees. They froze and quickly hid behind a tree, hearts pounding in fear. Before they could react, the witch appeared. With long black claws and glowing green eyes, she grabbed Chananai by the neck and vanished through the forest. Kizoba screamed in despair. For a moment, she considered running home to alert her parents, but she knew it might be too late. She had only one choice, to follow the witch and save her sister. Kizoba ran through the dark forest, shadows twisting around her, branches clawing at her as if trying to stop her. Through the fog, she saw the witch's crooked cottage, glowing windows casting an eerie light. Inside, the witch held Chanana over a dark, shimmering mirror, the source of her power. Kizoba's courage rose. She grabbed a heavy branch and smashed the mirror. Cracks spread across its surface, releasing the stolen shadows and breaking the witch's magic. The witch screamed and vanished into smoke, leaving only a faint whisper, "I will return when the forest calls." China and I ran into Kizoba's arms, safe at last. The other children appeared in the village, all and unhurt. The villagers celebrated Kizoba's bravery. Though the children were safe, the people of Hollow Creek knew some shadows never truly vanish, they only wait. And in the whispering trees, faint green eyes still gleamed, watching, waiting for the next time the forest would call. Is 것을 골라두 누구를 둥그러 Tomsnjak de frassen Doch Deutsche Stoven so Should Mary Kinney Wyrin village Durt Marwan Favruach and Claudie Spaven Mary Kinney Time Shattershach Agus Begala Moai Ruvranya Small Farid Mary Kinney Don't all folk tales have men coming to the rescue? Not this one. A Polish folk tale that subverts gender expectations? Exactly. A miller had 3 daughters and no sons. The youngest daughter determined she would take on the role of the son, learning the father's trade. She also became an apprentice of the only person in the town who could read. Meanwhile, maidens are going missing. Even her 2 sisters. While looking for them, she gets kidnapped by a creepy old sorcerer. He makes a mistake, leaves her alone in his castle. He finds many birds in cages. The missing maiden. She reads his spellbook. She opens the cages, turns the birds back to maidens, turns the sorcerer into a mouse. She takes him home and feeds him to her cat.
An old man and his young apprentice Minikichi, 18. Each day they crossed a wide, flood-prone river by ferry to reach the forest 5 miles away. One bitter night, fierce snowstorm surprised them. Each day they crossed a wide, the ferryman had left his boat on the far side. Reached the forest 5 miles away. Tiny two-mad hut on the riverbank. There was no fire. And after a while, the old man slept on the far side. So they took shelter in the tiny two-mad hut on the riverbank. There was no fire. And after a while, the old man slept over Minikichi, and breath on dozed off. Minikichi was awake. She door stooped then over Minikichi, entered by, found he could not cry out. She terribly beautiful she was, her eyes frightened, breath was like wild smoke. She whispered that she would spare him Minikichi was, who found he could not cry out. If he ever told anyone about seeing her eyes frightened him. Mother, she smiling, would know and whispered that she would spare him because passed out into the storm. But when Minikichi ever told Mosaka about seeing the old man's face frozen, mother, Mosaka was dead and would kill him. At dawn the ferryman passed out into the storm. The body. When after care he touched Mosaka, found the old man's face frozen and ashamed. Mosaka was dead. Nothing. At dawn the ferryman found Minikichi beside the body. Selling wood after care he mother's held the cold. Some winters later he met a tall, fair girl traveling toward the white woman called herself Oyuki. Work alone. Walked together with his widowed mother's help one another. Some winters later met his mother's hospitality. Travel Oyuki stayed, called herself Oyuki, and she proved an exact daughter-in-law. Quickly years passed one another. Minikichi, she must have died his mother's hospitality. The couple raised 10 handsome children, married, and she proved an strangely daughter-in-law. As others passed him and did. Minikichi's mother died. She sewed by lamplight. The couple raised 10 hands by Howlett the White Woman. She Strangely the terror that stormy night in the fairy's hut. One night, the woman she sewed by lamplight of him, Minikichi moved by how like the white woman death if he ever spoke of terror of that stormy night sprang up its hut, flung aside her sewing, and cried that she had been that very white smoke. She reminded, threatened him of her earlier spoke of her, furious that he had broken the vow, declared she would kill him, and cried that she had been the church woman. She warned him to take care of her or she would treat him as he deserved. As she screamed the declared she would kill him of wind, not for their sleeping children. She warned him to take care of them, or she would slipped away as he deserved. As she was never seen again, to the children slept on. She melted into a bright left with the memory that rose to the rafters and slipped away to his broke hole, and the wife never seen again. The children slept on, and Minikichi was left with the memory of the night he had been spared, the secret he had broken, and the wife who vanished like snow.
The Bruinjor is an astounding creature from Aboriginal mythology, often described as a powerful and fearsome entity. A supposed dinosaur, still alive in Australia, like a Tyrannosaurus rex. Its name derives from an Aboriginal word that means thunder lizard. Reports claim that Bruinjor would have been around 6 to 7 meters long and weighed 4 tons. It would be bipedal with 3-toed footprints, a large head with sharp teeth, a long tail, and small clawed hands. There are accounts and stories among Aboriginal communities and early European settlers of close encounters with this large creature in the Australian wilderness. Yet, the most famous encounters with the Bruinjor date back to the beginning of the 20th century. The most famous encounter took place in 1957, when a group of Queensland cattlemen described seeing a large creature with 3-toed footprints eating their cattle. There was another report in New South Wales in 1982, investigated by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. They found 3-toed footprints, 60 centimeters wide and 60 centimeters long. The Bruinjor footprints were cast in plaster and are now on display at the Australian Museum. Several organizations working to find the Bruinjor are continuing to collect evidence and carry out investigations into reported sightings. These organizations believe that the Bruinjor is a real creature and are determined to prove its existence to the world. The Bruinjor legend is fascinating because it blends elements of traditional Aboriginal stories with modern accounts of cryptozoology, the study of animals whose existence is hinted but not recognized by scientific consensus, often based on eyewitness accounts and folk legends. The Bruinjor legend is still one of the most mysterious and least understood of Aboriginal folklore stories.